Good afternoon and welcome. This has been a long time coming, and we're really excited to do this piece for you and to have you here today. It's great to see so many of you come out and share this experience with us. I'm confident that you will be moved by everything you see and hear today. Before we would begin, I want to briefly explain the inspiration for this event. Joshua Carnes, who is sharing the stage this afternoon, and you'll hear more about him later. He attended a performance of the full stage production of Make Sure It's Me last summer. He was deeply moved by the experience. And when he returned to campus, he casually commented to Diane O'Hearn, who was the Veterans Center coordinator at the time, how great it would be to bring that show here to GCC as an event for Veterans Awareness Week, which you may or may not know is happening this week, and this is sort of the wrap-up event for that. With the enthusiasm that is characteristic of Diane's work, she embraced the idea, and she promised that she would help bring Josh's dream to reality. After many years in higher education, Diane left the college in January before she could see this project come to fruition. So in tribute to Diane and the work that she's done in service to veterans and so many others, we would like to dedicate this performance to Diane O'Hearn. So Di, this one's for you.
It's like you get hit by a wall of wind, cement wind.
Flash, pop, then whacked in the head with a shovel.
Seconds pass when you don't know if you're dead or alive. It's like Russian roulette each time you get hit.
One of my buddies got through 8, then the 9th one waxed him.
I was leading my convoy out of Kabbalah. I came to with blood running down my face. On base, I slept for 24 hours straight. Spent all afternoon just trying to stand up.
I'm holding up a plasma bag for a guy who lost his leg. Flash, pop. Next thing I'm smelling soap, perfume. I open up my eyes and it's my wife. She says, "You got one arm gone, and you got 4 months lost from your life."
I was terrified coming out of my coma. I thought maybe I was buried alive. I saw the lights, shapes, my mom's hair. I was trying to talk, but everything kept dropping through holes. I moved my eyelids. My mom shouted, "She's alive! She's alive!" Am I?
Good afternoon, and welcome to Make Sure It's Me, a presentation based on Kate Wenner's stage play about traumatic brain injury in American military service members. Thank you so much to the GCC Student VetNet for bringing me here. My name is Leslie Pasternak. I'm the Associate Director of the Artist Collaborative Theater of New England, which is based in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I'm deeply honored to be working with a team of your own peers tonight: Joshua Carnes, Mike Brusco, Don Brene Allen, and Saxony Haneke. Anna Berry is co-hosting with me, and Tom Gia, thank you so much for helping make all this take place. Also, again, Kate Wenner, our playwright, is here, and you'll get a chance. She'll join us later. Over the next hour or so, we'll be talking about blast-induced traumatic brain injury and using more scenes like the one you just heard from the play Make Sure It's Me to illustrate the effects of this injury on veterans and their loved ones. As you may know, at this moment there is a great divide between the military and civilian families in our communities. Nearly 3 million troops have been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan since 2001, and about 27% of these have been deployed multiple times. Yet less than 1% of our total population serves in the military, so many of us don't know even one person who is deployed in these wars. In New England, we don't have the large military bases seen in, for example, North Carolina or Texas. Instead, bases support a dispersed military composed largely of the National Guard or Reserve forces. As a result, you may interact with service members in your community without knowing that they are citizen soldiers. Their service goes largely unnoticed. I personally wish that I could wave a magic wand and make war unnecessary. But since that isn't possible, I decided a couple years back I wanted to use my theater skills to try and bridge the divide and somehow serve those who serve.
This presentation is based on a play called Make Sure It's Me. The playwright, Kate Wenner, a journalist and former producer of ABC's 2020, became very concerned some years back about this invisible injury that was going largely unnoticed and undiagnosed. She spent almost a year researching and interviewing service members, their families, and medical experts. Make Sure It's Me weaves together the real-life stories of her interviewees to create a powerful fictional drama, while also imparting a good deal of medical information about traumatic brain injury. Kate Wenner took her play's title from a story she heard about a young Marine headed for Iraq. Before he left, the Marine said to his mom, "Promise me something. If anything happens, open the body bag. Mistakes happen. Make sure it's me." That Marine did come home, but because of his brain injury, he wasn't the same. He and his family had to rediscover his new me and what that could be.
When my theater company, Act One, learned about Make Sure It's Me on NPR, we reached out to Kate Wenner and we committed to the project. We spent a year and a half working with her and educating ourselves about traumatic brain injury, and we met some truly remarkable people, civilian and military, who care for New Hampshire's and New England's service members. All of this research made us determined to create a top-notch production of Make Sure It's Me. Our 3-week run of the show last June at the West End Studio Theater in Portsmouth was attended by about 600 people, including veterans of every generation from World War II to the present, military family members, civilians of diverse backgrounds, a lot of healthcare providers came, and brain injury survivors. During the long development of the production, we realized that we wanted to get the word out about this issue beyond our little Portsmouth theater, which is why we created this traveling show. We brought this presentation to 7 New Hampshire communities, and we're delighted to continue the dialogue with you here today. There's one more important piece of the story. I know we're given a lot of introduction, but this is such a cool story about how many people we've met and who've gotten involved in bringing this message out in the world. So early on, I went searching for a visual image to define and promote our project. I had noticed that many veteran service organizations were using stock photos of actors in military uniforms. Sometimes one picture showed up on multiple websites, and sometimes the uniforms looked incomplete or incorrect. So I felt it was important to find an authentic image that wouldn't offend real military folks in our audience. I found an astonishing shot of a soldier in silhouette against a bright orange sky, and I tracked it back to an online community of photographers. The silhouette was one of many gorgeous images shot in Iraq by a deployed Army sergeant who used this hobby as a break from his job. His name was Joshua Carnes. With some trepidation, I Googled this guy. I didn't know if he would have vanished from the internet, or worse, I was worried he would show up on a casualty list. If I found him, was he going to tell me to get lost? I discovered a Sergeant Josh Carnes on Twitter. I tweeted at him, "Did you shoot photos in Iraq? I'm doing a project on TBI, 140 characters per message. Can you help?" Not only did he tweet back his permission to use the photo, Josh soon told me that he lived not too far away. He could have lived anywhere in the world, but we were practically neighbors. Eventually, both his silhouette photo and his goggles image that you can see on the TBI fact sheet became the hallmarks of Make Sure It's Me. Best of all, we were able to host Josh and his wife Andrea at our show in Portsmouth, and now he's brought me to Greenfield to share the project with you. Josh, would you like to tell them a little more about your
Sure. Okay, so these 2 images you see behind me are 2 out of hundreds taken during my 15-month tour of duty in Iraq back in 2005 to 2006. They depict, in my opinion, a sort of juxtaposition of art and life, but also danger, but in their own weird way, beauty. Each portrays friends that I maintain contact with to this very day, friends that in many ways are more like brothers than just acquaintances. So to my surprise, both of these pictures found their way into Stars and Stripes, the military newspaper, and they've since been used elsewhere by other veteran service organizations and what have you. But it doesn't change the fact that I was just a bored Army sergeant who took up a new hobby just to make my monotonous year in a war zone slightly more interesting. Photography was one of my outlets to sort of vent or de-stress or otherwise calm my frequently tensed nerves working in a combat support hospital in western Baghdad. It's quite stressful at times, as you can imagine. I never expected any of them to spark the interests of others, and I certainly never expected any of them to be used in a conjunction with an amazing work such as Make Sure It's Me, which is doing a great job helping to raise awareness about traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress throughout New England. So it's an honor to be here in front of you guys today, and I sincerely hope this production leaves as great of an impact on you as it has on me. And so I thank you guys very much.
So now that you have the history, we'll present another scene. Our playwright asked the service members she interviewed to describe their memories of the moment they were injured by an IED blast and how their lives changed in the days and months after. What follows is a continuation of the very first scene we presented to you about being hit by a wall of cement wind. This collage of images was woven together by the playwright from several different veteran stories.
Horrible headaches, words jumping on the page. One day I was going crazy looking for my weapon. Found it in the bottom of my duffel. What was it doing there?
I'd say, "Hey you," or "Knucklehead," so people wouldn't actually know that I couldn't remember their names anymore. Sergeant tells me, "Go 3 houses down the block and give cover." And I'm like, wait, how many houses?
I stopped counting after 20 IEDs. One day on Skype, Sandy says, "Something's weird with you. Everything you're saying is coming out slurred. Go get yourself checked out." I'm not getting checked out, sent home.
One of my men said to me, "This is the 3rd time today you've spaced out in the middle of a sentence. Maybe you better go to the clinic." The nurse asked me, "Who's the president?" I didn't have a clue.
I went to my commanding officer because I was getting scared. I was going to do something stupid, get hurt, or even worse, get somebody else hurt. The CO flash blasted me in front of the whole company, saying I'm making shit up to stay on base. After that, everyone's calling me names like pussy, wuss, faggot, me, who used to be the go-to soldier.
One afternoon, our internet was running slow. I don't know what happened. I lost it. Started kicking everything, even our little mascot dog. I would have killed the little dog if my guys hadn't made me stop. I got so depressed, I'd go out and I wouldn't even load my weapon. They don't give death money for a suicide. But I figured if I got killed in the line of duty, at least I'd be worth something to my wife.
Before continuing with more scenes, we'd like to share with you 2 key messages that we'd like you to take away from today's discussion. The first message: service members and veterans and communities across our nation who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan and who've been exposed to blasts from improvised explosive devices, IEDs, may be coping with some pretty disorienting symptoms and not realize that they have sustained a serious brain injury. That's part 1. Part 2 is there's a help available for them and their families. The Make Sure It's Me traumatic brain injury fact sheet that you all have, and if you don't, please grab one on your way out, includes contact information from numerous organizations and individuals that are ready to help now. You have the resources for our Western Massachusetts area, so they are local resources. So what are the facts? How can someone have a serious brain injury and not know it? There are 3 aspects of blast-induced injury that can lead to going undiagnosed. 1, the injury is invisible. 2, the symptoms may not show up right away. And 3, and perhaps the hardest, is the people who are injured are the last people who would ever ask for help. Aspect number 1, invisibility. We all know a fair amount about concussions. They're caused when you hit your head really hard, or something hits you. We're hearing a lot these days about sports concussions and how important it is to give the brain time to rest and heal. The brain is amazing, and if given time, it can repair much of the injury and rebuild new neural pathways to work around areas that may have been damaged. But repeated concussions have a cumulative effect and can be devastating. Now, a blast from an IED can cause a type of concussion that is really different from a blow to a head with a single point of contact. An IED explosion sends out a compression wave, a wall of high-frequency, fast-moving, compressed air that hammers the soft tissue of the body. It doesn't just rock the brain back and forth in one direction, it can vibrate the brain. Down to the cellular level, it can impact it. And depending on the force of the blast, you can be injured even if you're 100 yards away. But the damage is invisible. Because service members who experience this, they often stand up, brush it off, and go back to work. It's clinically described as MTBI, which stands for mild TBI. But of course, that's a misnomer. There's nothing mild about this injury. After an IED blast, if you're visibly wounded or knocked unconscious, you get immediate medical treatment. The rate of combat fatalities has been falling due to this incredible level of response. But estimates now suggest for every person who gets medical care, maybe 3, maybe even 4 service members head back to their units with some degree of injury to their brain, but they don't even know they've been injured. They go back into the field, and the chances are they'll be exposed to more IED blasts. And just like sports concussions, repeated exposures add up.
Thanks. The second problem, the symptoms of this kind of brain injury can be delayed. The effects can come on so gradually that service members don't associate them at all with the IED blast they've survived. Headache? I'm in a war zone. Everyone has headaches. Vision problems? I probably just need glasses. I keep forgetting things. It's probably just stress. And then self-doubt creeps in. Am I some kind of weakling? Am I falling apart? Am I crazy? These thoughts can lead to depression and anxiety, which may further prevent a service member from linking their present symptoms to a past exposure to an IED blast. Another problem with this delayed onset of symptoms, they may be very similar to the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, which has been recognized by the military for several years now. There are protocols for treating PTSD, often with easily prescribed medications. But these same medications could be bad for certain patients with brain injury. So a misdiagnosis could make the problem worse. And many service members with TBI also have PTSD, which makes proper screening and diagnosis incredibly important. There are treatments that can make a big difference, but the sooner you begin, the better. The last element of this situation that can keep a person with a brain injury from getting medical treatment is the person, him or herself. The very character and training that make a good military service member may keep them from asking for help. They're team players. They don't want to be singled out. They help others. They don't ask for help. As the New Hampshire National Guard has pointed out in their research on this topic, those who serve in the armed forces are strong and self-reliant by nature. They value their privacy and are more comfortable giving help than receiving it. In fact, the strong, self-reliant nature of military families can become a significant weakness when PTSD, TBI, or other factors intensify and the lack of a supportive safety net causes them to spiral from an at-risk situation to a crisis. So that's a brief survey of the medical and cultural moment that we are in now. We have a growing crisis in our communities as more service members are exposed to IED blasts, as well as other injuries that can happen during the course of work in the military, even if you aren't deployed. And sometimes they come home from their service not quite right. And all of us have a role to play by paying attention to veterans with difficulties and encouraging them to seek help. So, time for another scene. If someone comes home from combat and appears to their family to have suddenly transformed into a real jerk, they may be going through something like the soldier in the following scene. It takes place in the office of Dr. Joe Fitch, a university researcher specializing in brain injury. Sandy has brought her husband Mike, an Army Staff Sergeant and Iraq War veteran, to consult Dr. Fitch about several disturbing symptoms.
gentle giant. Do you remember when I called you that? That day I got up my nerve and I asked you to marry me? You were sitting on your bunk. I knew you were too shy to ask me. Remember what you said? Might as well. Got nothing else to do today. Guess you did the right thing, huh?
Yeah, back when I had a brain.
You still have a brain. It's just not working so good right now.
I can't believe my guys are going back without me.
But they love you so much, and that's what they tell me. Who else sets up putting matches and barbecues?
They're like my own kids. Who's going to take care of them?
But it's time to take care of yourself now. You were lucky to be able to join Dr. Fitch's study. That's why I wanted you to come talk to her again. Now that your guys are going, I thought...
I don't want to be someone's science project.
But the base doctors aren't helping. She's a brain doctor, a specialist.
I'm doing fine. Now that I got me in the office.
You mean like the chair you threw at that guy?
They got to learn when to leave me alone.
So why did we come then?
You tell me.
I don't want you to have to live like this, Mike. Your headaches crashing out all the time. Mike, please. Mike, I'm talking to you. Sometimes it's lonelier with you home than it was when you were away.
Just say the word, Sandy. Ask for a divorce. I'll give it to you.
I'm sorry I'm late.
I hate it when he talks about divorce.
Oh, okay.
Ever heard of Sisyphus? The jerk who kept rolling the rock up the hill? I'm the rock. She keeps pushing and pushing.
I don't know what to do, Dr. Fitch. Things are getting worse.
Here we go.
Last Saturday, we took Jewel to the driving range because she loves golf, and I thought it was something they could still do together. And the next day, I show him the pictures I took, thinking, that'll make him happy. I show him the pictures on the computer, and he says he wasn't there. He just loses whole chunks of time. Gone. His mind blanks out. The other day, I asked him to take out the trash and bring in the mail. Later I go out, the trash bag is on the sidewalk by the mailbox, and the mail's in the garbage can.
So get a divorce. You won't have to put up with me.
Stop saying that, would you? I don't want a divorce.
Then how come you never stop talking about how frightening I am?
Yesterday was pretty scary.
You make such a big deal over everything.
Well, it was a big deal.
Sandy was pretty upset when she called yesterday.
So you two are ganging up on me? Is that what's going on here? I'm not sticking around for that.
Come on now, Mike. No one's ganging up on you. How about you say your view of what happened yesterday?
Ask her, she's the big expert on my life.
I'd rather hear it from you.
I got nothing to say.
Well, then I'll say it. Yesterday, when I brought Jewel home from school, Mike was asleep in the bedroom. So I thought I could let Jewel watch a video for an hour or so while I ran out for groceries. I wasn't even gone half an hour.
She was banging on the thing, banging and banging.
I guess the tape got stuck. She was banging on the VCR, trying to fix it. Anyway, by the time I got back, the TV and the VCR were both smashed on the floor. Mike was in the kitchen, making spaghetti, like nothing had happened. Jewel had locked herself in her bedroom. I asked Mike what happened. He couldn't remember. When Jewel let me into her room, she said, "Don't worry, Mommy. It was just one of Daddy's bad brain days."
Do you know what set you off?
Got no effing idea.
Give it a guess.
Maybe the damn banging. I was asleep, it woke me up, and I wanted it to stop.
Why didn't you just get up and ask her?
You don't understand anything, do you?
What doesn't she understand, Mike?
I can't make things stop. I can't make things stop.
I understand. It's the way your PTSD interacts with your brain injury, your frontal lobe damage. You got triggered into a PTSD episode by something like the banging, but then because of the injury, the part of your brain that should be controlling that emotional response doesn't work. You just can't put a brake on things, right? And then it just happens. You're out of control.
If you say so, Doc.
Sam, you told me your men are about to be redeployed. This could be a good time to come in and see me as an inpatient so I can work with you.
No offense, Doc, but like I told her, I'm not agreeing to be somebody's science project.
It's the only way you're gonna get better, Mike.
I'm not gonna get better, Mrs. Sisyphus. So why don't you face facts?
I simply do not agree with that. You could use help. Do it for Jules' sake. You need her help.
I don't want her help. I don't want your help. I don't want anybody's help.
Do you see what's happening?
But you got him here.
You can hear in these scenes how the physical disruptions in the brain from TBI can cause a cascade of confusion and despair in a person. That's why early detection of brain injury is so important. In the next scene, Dr. Fitch shows Sue a scan of her son Kevin's brain, and they discuss the science of injury and neuroplasticity.
Sorry I'm late. Finally getting some sleep.
That's good to hear.
So are we getting close?
Well, after these scans, we'll be ready to discuss what to do next.
I thought Bethesda sent us scans.
This is something different. A SPECT scan. It measures brain activity.
How?
By measuring the level of blood flow as it goes to the different parts of the brain. If an area isn't demanding the blood it should, that indicates possible injury.
So what are all these colors?
Well, this is a digitized map of the blood flow. Where there's white, red, orange, things are fine. The blue and green suggest some level of impairment. Black signifies a 30% reduction from normal levels.
Well, what's that black there?
His basal ganglia, for certain kinds of learning, but primarily it's motor control.
Like his problem with his knee?
Exactly. We see this in brains with Parkinson's.
Parkinson's? And what's that?
The frontal lobe damage. It's the brain's executive decision-making, regulation of mood, impulse control.
Why he blurts out whatever comes into his head? This doesn't look good.
It's consistent with his symptoms.
But there's hope.
Of course.
Please show me the hope. I was reading last night about brain plasticity, the new research on how the brain can heal itself.
Yes, we've seen promising results, but it's best if we start cognitive work within the first 9 months.
And Kevin's at 6 months.
No, Sue. Kevin was in 5 IED blasts before the one that put him in the coma.
What?
That's what he told me, and it's not unusual. Unless their Humvee takes a direct hit, these guys just stop and drive on. They don't even realize how badly these blasts can hurt their brains. Like the football players, they just don't know.
But I don't get it. It's not like football. They don't hit anything.
True, but their brains get smacked all the same. Let me explain. When these IEDs explode, they give off a huge shockwave that slams anyone within 300 feet with a massive change in air pressure. The body's soft organs all go through a minute of hell, but not so bad as the brain. I mentioned football players, but with them you see the damage at the point of impact. Now look at this. The damage Kevin's got spread throughout his brain, and that's because something's happened at a chemical level. All these vets are showing up with multiple areas of injury. That's why it's so complex.
No.
Sue, Kevin's brain has been coping with this for a long time.
Is Kevin permanently?
We'll recover as much brain function as we can, and we'll teach him to use a PDA to compensate for his lost executive function. We'll do rigorous physical therapy for his legs so they don't atrophy.
Wait a minute. They told me his not walking was a temporary thing until his brain could send the signals again.
In Kevin's case, the basal ganglia damage is too severe.
Are you sure?
Yes. I'm very sorry, Sue.
My God, running was everything to him. He was a long distance champion all through high school.
This is hard.
What am I going to tell him?
The truth.
Many spouses of those with brain injury grapple with a sense of loss of their best friend and life partner, even while they are still alive and in need of care. The following scene depicts two Army wives whose husbands experience very different symptoms, but who are left similarly at a loss.
Hey, lady, you look like death or something.
I'm sorry. I can't.
I know why you're
got-
running, lady. I do the same. Run and run so I don't have to feel the loneliness. All us TBI wives. We've got the same problem, don't we? Take your lonely heart, pack it in a bag. Because that man you used to have, you're his mama now.
Please,
You and me are looking at living without intimacy for the rest of our lives. That's our problem, right?
I don't know what you're saying.
How we don't got husbands anymore? Only we got them for life. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying the wives that lost their husbands, they think they got it so much worse. They don't realize we lost our husbands too. Their bodies are still here, so you gotta sit there and watch them dying every day. Moving further and further into that shell. He's here, but he's gone.
Please.
I'm sorry, I'm a mess today. I've been thinking about what it's gonna be like when I bring him back home. It's the loneliest when he's with me, because then I'm seeing what I don't have anymore. Some Sundays I sit in church looking through the Bible for a loophole. I know adultery is against God, but it feels like I'm taking advantage of a little boy if I do it with my husband.
I don't know how you're supposed to make love with someone who terrifies you. Do you still love your husband?
Of course I do.
You sure?
You don't love him anymore?
I don't know. That's awful, right? After how he served his country. What's wrong with me?
Hey, what's going on?
My husband did something terrible over there.
They all did. They're warriors, that's their job.
No. This wasn't his job. I don't know if I'll ever be able to put it out of my mind. Ever. This horrible thing.
What are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't even know how to think about it.
Our final selection today from Kate Wenner's Make Sure It's Me is another collage. In this closing sequence from the play, the service members reflect on why they chose to serve in the United States military and where they see their lives going as they try to cope with their injuries.
Senior year, homeroom teacher put on the TV. Saw the buildings burning. People jumping out, holding hands. Decided then, wanted to protect my country, had to. Didn't want my kids seeing people jumping out of buildings. It stays in your eyes like sand. When my dad was still alive, my mom always sang that song. It's a Wonderful World. Hope so. Want it to be. It's my job.
I was an assistant teacher in a first grade class on 9/11. The next day, one of the girls came into school and told me her mom had been crying all night, that things like this weren't supposed to happen here. They'd come to America to feel free and safe. I decided I had to do something to prove she was right about America.
I signed up for Corman so I could get my medical school paid. I was going to be the doctor in Cumberland County, Tennessee, where I grew up. I was going to be the first doctor in the history of my family.
I signed up because me and Angel had one baby girl and another one on the way. Turned out Army was a good job, and I was real good at it. I would have stayed in my whole life.
Me? I'm working hard on not looking back. My plan is to get an apartment in Memphis, close to the VA, so I can get my medical when I need it. I'm going to tape up my 3x5 cards like Dr. Fitch taught me, keep track of what I got to remember day by day.
I try to hide it, but I can't. Like when I was visiting my family last month, our idea of fun is games like Cranium. We'd been playing for a while, everyone was on the inside circle, but I still hadn't moved off start. I looked up at my mom. She was crying.
Where I grew up, there was nothing. My teachers told me, forget about the test, go warm up your fastball. After graduation, I walked down to the recruiting office. I don't need no talking into, I said. Put me on the bus. Dr. Fish told me there's a good chance I'm looking at something like Alzheimer's by the time I'm 40. She says that's what happens when a brain gets hit, as mine.
People tell me I look the same. They think it'd be worse if I lost an arm or a leg. I say no. Pick any 2 limbs. 3. I'd take them in exchange for my brain back.
The Alzheimer's coming doesn't bother me so much. I figure I won't feel so bad about what I am, because I won't remember what I was anymore.
I got plans. When I get my license back, I'm going out and buy my mom a diamond ring, because she deserves it. When I couldn't take care of myself, she took care of me every step of the way. Some guys just ended up lying there. Nobody helping, nobody caring.
Gets me every time. I don't know a better way to follow up those words about nobody helping and nobody caring than to say that quite clearly everybody in this room cares very much. Act One's research over the course of this project into the challenges facing service members and veterans who've been injured in combat has been extremely sobering. But we want to assure you that there are reasons to hope. Not only is there a huge amount of research being done on the national level to understand and develop treatments for TBI, there are also many, many people working to better the lives of military families and civilians living with brain injury. We don't have all of the answers yet, obviously, but we will try and field some of your questions today, and we'll look forward to continuing the conversation with you in the future. So thank you so much for your attention. There are some refreshments here. We're going to pull up a chair so that Kate Wenner, the playwright, can join us, and in a few moments we're going to have a talk back. Please give applause again to this fantastic group.